I am Michelle with two L's.
And I'm Natalie the Red.
And we are Force of Entertainment. Well, everyone, the SJWs are at it again. The cancel culture is at it again, and this time they've come for one of our beloved shows, The Office. Yes, Comedy Central has canceled an episode of The Office. They will not play this particular episode. So let's take a look at what episode has been deemed too offensive for today's time of The Office. And this article coming to us from the Daily Wire, but Comedy Central cancels the Office Diversity Day episode. And you guys know, I mean, really after Friends ended, when did Friends end? 2002?
I think somewhere around there, yeah.
The Office came on NBC at 2003 and pretty immediately became a huge hit. And even today, younger people are finding it and falling in love with it the way we did as it aired live and came out then. So we see that in this report, Comedy Central, of course, they've been for years, they've been playing reruns of NBC's The Office. But recently we find out they just did a marathon and they just skipped. They won't play the infamous Diversity Day episode, which of course, as Michael Scott, the whole point of Michael Scott's character, played by Steve Carell, is to be inappropriate. He is constantly that's inappropriate. Yes. Yeah. Whether it's addressing women, whether it's addressing race, he is always inappropriate.
And inappropriate and incredibly awkward. That's kind of his shtick.
And that's where you get a Jim or Pam to look in the camera, to look in the camera, because they know that's the point of his character, is to be inappropriate. Right. And they're there to kind of be like, really? Did he just say
straight people?
Yes. And so they have, according to Barstool Sports, the cable channel has quietly omitted the episode from the rotation. And I want to see, I found something that Steve Carell said. So in 2018, Steve Carell said that the networks today would likely shy away from the series now. It might be impossible to do that show today and have people accept it the way it was accepted 10 years ago. Except again, that's just the people that would have the power to put it on, because people love it. Even young people are loving the show again today. He goes on to say the climate is different, he told Esquire. I mean, the whole idea of the character Michael Scott, so much of it was predicted or predicated on inappropriate behavior. Exactly. As we're saying, that is what this character was all about. And that's what made him funny and ridiculous. Yes, that was the point of the character. So I just thought that was interesting. And
I'm just thinking right now, some of the inappropriate things he did, the ones that stick out.
That's what makes him funny.
And then people's reaction to seeing him do these just ridiculous things.
Because he will be inappropriate even when he's attempting to care.
Yes,
like in that episode. He thinks he's doing a good job by doing a Chris Rock routine on race and using an Indian accent to talk to Mindy Kaling's character. That's what's funny about the show.
That's the comedy of it.
Yes. And it just goes back again to what we said about how the woke mob, the SJWs, it is a cancer. They ruin everything they touch. And it really goes to show that what they are doing, it is really about control and censorship. And there's no place for comedy in that type of environment. Even as Steve Carell brought up, they're just sadly, how much of comedy that we grew up with would you say they couldn't do that today? It's starting to feel like almost everything we're saying couldn't do that today.
And just bear in mind, if it was something that was like genuinely mean or people needed to change their position on, I understand that, but it's like so much of it is very benign.
Yes, but we're talking comedy.
Comedy.
In this case, the comedy is that you are making fun. You're making, basically, his character is supposed to be inappropriate, and that is the comedy of the character.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or in
that's what I'm saying. I don't think,
in so much of comedy, they poke at certain things in an attempt to be funny. It is not mean-hearted, as The Office was never mean-spirited in what it addressed. And it's just so interesting that Comedy Central, of all people, I mean, again, if you want to see how bad comedy is dying, Comedy Central is the one who is removing this episode. And I remind you that they are the ones who aired the Dave Chappelle show back in the early 2000s. And Dave Chappelle infamously, I mean, built his show upon using humor to address racial division or tension, and he did it geniusly in
Yes.
my opinion, and in many people's opinion. But that type of humor wouldn't be acceptable
I know,
in
right?
today's time.
And I mean, I think we all know Chappelle was hilarious.
Yes, and what he was doing, comedy is a
The
great
crackhead
way.
characters
Comedy
still
is
gets me.
comedy is a great way to actually address things.
Yeah, it is.
And he
Even
did
societal stuff.
Yes, and he did that geniusly. But today's SJW mob mentality, that again is about censorship and control, they won't let it happen. And that's just kind of a sad state of affairs. I heard someone a while ago, and we know we've kind of moved so into streaming and buying things digitally. I'm getting to the point, and I actually have most of The Office on DVD. We may want to buy shows like The Office on like hard copies DVD, because
Yeah, if it's something you love and what, because I mean, it could be gone for.
they could omit it or put disclaimers or remove scenes out of things. So if you have things you love, old comedies, you might want to get the DVD. That way it can't be messed with, as the SJWs constantly change in what is acceptable or unacceptable to them. But
Well, and I think that that's really the issue we're getting to here is, the censorship and really people's right to express themselves, especially when they're not hurting another person, or and not,
when it's meant to
not
be
intentionally.
comedy.
Yeah, it's meant to be comedy. It's like, it's scary where that could go, I think.
Yes.
Like the more that people start to give into it and remove, so it just starts small, I think. But
yes.
Just be aware.
Yes, well, when you look at authoritative, communist type of or dictatorships type of governments, they control what is said and they control these type of issues, and that's what they're doing, and that's something we all need to resist.
Yeah, I mean, you can't control people's speech.
No, and I told Natalie it's interesting because the people who claim to be progressive, I say are regressive, because
Absolutely.
back in the 40s and 50s, comedians were regularly arrested for pushing the bounds of what society thought was acceptable in their time. And even though they're not getting arrested today, they're just getting canceled today.
Yeah.
Can't do that. And it's kind of going back to where it was back then, where they don't like comedy, and God forbid you address things in a comedic way that
Right.
they don't deem acceptable. So that's
Michelle and I support comedy.
We do. And even
make comedy great again.
And even if I don't agree with it, I just, at the end of the day, I respect freedom of speech.
Right.
That's just how it is. I don't have to agree with you to respect freedom of speech. But yeah, that's kind of it. I was a big
thank you for coming to our TED Talk.
Yes, I was a big fan of The Office, as so many of us are.
And then she made me a fan.
Yeah, I mean,
I had your DVDs. That was back before. I mean, I had like Netflix. And
yeah,
stuff.
because it came out before Netflix was really like hot. I mean, it was actually technically around, but it wasn't used.
Those first like 2 or 3 seasons
genius.
are just like, oh my gosh, chef's kiss.
Yes, which this episode I think is in season 1 of The Office. But guys, the times we live in, but we've got to be steadfast and continue to resist this nonsense that is going on, that really is about censorship at the end of the day. But that's it. I just saw this and I wanted to cover it. So share your thoughts below. And if you're not, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Also give the video a thumbs up. But thank you for watching. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, remember to be a force of light. All right. Bye, guys.